Hello, and welcome to the presentation of the Comedy Central Network. My name's Jed Payne, and let's get into it, shall we? So, before Comedy Central was Comedy Central, it was actually two channels. The Comedy Channel, started by Time Life, who's owned by HBO, was the first cable channel that was devoted to comedy-based programming. And then on April 1st, April Fool's Day, Viacom, which owns MTV, VH1, Nickelodeon, launched their own comedy channel called Ha! Exclamation mark, which had reruns of sketch comedy and situational comedy, sitcoms, in other words. That stands for situational comedies, if you weren't aware. So they were rivals, okay, but they merged into one and relaunched on April 1st, this time 1991, as CTV, the Comedy Network, but they changed that name in June 91 to Comedy Central because there was a Canadian broadcast television called CTV, and the Canadians always get their way. Eventually, that would become the Canadian partner of the Comedy Network, ironically. So from 1991 to 2000, it started off a little slow. The viewership was pretty low, and Mystery Science Theater was its highest rated program, and that is a show where a comedian and two robots, voiced by comedians, watch really terrible B movies and make fun of them the whole time. Pretty great show. Eventually, they started the Daily Show with Craig Kilborn, but we all know the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. That didn't happen until 1999. They had Dr. Katz, which was an animated show, and When Ben Stein's Money might have been one of the first popular shows as well. 2003, that's when Viacom gained full control. They changed their logo. This is kind of the more modern era of Comedy Central, and this is where South Park, the blockbuster animated show, entered the scene. You also had Chappelle's Show, which was one of the, it was kind of a spiritual successor to In Living Color, with Dave Chappelle doing sketch comedy. Then finally in the 2010s, you had things like The Colbert Report, At Midnight with Chris Hardwick, and The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore. Now, the highest rated show currently is going to be South Park, like I said. The lowest rated is a show called The Gorburger Show, and that kind of makes sense why it's low rated. So the image of the network is it tried really hard to be this edgy, funny destination network for up-and-coming comics and kind of politically charged satire and original sitcoms. Now, they did have their share of scandals. The most recent one in 2023, Warner Brothers Discovery is suing Paramount because they made an agreement for South Park where Paramount would retain rights to air new episodes on Comedy Central, and Warner Discovery had the rights to the reruns, but Paramount allegedly was airing reruns on their streaming networks, and that is a big no-no and big lawsuit. In 2021, Dave Chappelle also settled, not so much a lawsuit as just a personal beef with Viacom, who he wasn't getting residuals from his show being streamed. Those are the big ones. The top, not top five, but recent advertisers include Robinhood, Target, Capital One, New Balance, and Sling TV. A quick demographic rundown shows that it is 60% males, 40% females, 30% college grads, 32% currently in college, 58% homeowners, 38% renters. Median household incomes coming in at $66,000, with only 32% of viewers making over $100,000. 18 to 34 is 35% ages 35 to 54 is 39%, and only 26% is 55 and above. For the SWOT analysis, the strengths would be its parent company has a long history with a proven track record. It's got good legacy shows like The Daily Show, syndicated shows like Workaholics, The Office, Seinfeld, Chappelle's Show, Comedy Central Roast, Tosh.0, and one of the highest rated shows, period, but animated shows, South Park. Weaknesses: the budget for original programming has been severely reduced in favor of streaming services like Paramount Plus. The Daily Show lost on Jon Stewart, and it's kind of been a rotating state of hosts that aren't near as popular. And some people consider Comedy Central to be a dying brand. Now, Comedy Central has the opportunity to turn to its social media platforms like its TikTok and its YouTube, and it needs to take chances with younger comedians that are producing their own content on TikTok and utilize clips and shorts of its programming to drive traffic back to the network. And it shares the kind of the same threats most networks are facing right now, and that is cord cutters, streaming services, and digital video platforms like YouTube and TikTok. It's no longer the only place to find edgy comedy. It's no longer the destination spot for stand-up specials, and it just does not have the monopoly it used to have. So in closing, Comedy Central was an absolute juggernaut from the late 90s to the 2010s, and it's only recently with the advent of streaming that it has weakened as a brand. So go watch some Comedy Central, and thank you.